How is everybody doing out there around the world, wherever you are? My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality, and this is What's Your Question? Number 18. Number 18, and ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of a very special night because, you know, it's a Saturn night, but other than the fact that you're joining in here around the world, I am closing in, or I shouldn't say we, because it's because of you, we are closing in on 10,000 subscribers on Decode Your Reality, and I'm absolutely thrilled and I'm grateful, and it's all because of you, you know, and your support and your constant attention to decoding reality. So welcome, everyone, to another episode of What's Your Question? Again, number 18. And man, I wasn't even going to do this one tonight because we just went through a hurricane here in Quintana Roo in Mexico. And it was only a hurricane category 1. It was quite fun, actually, but lost power for a little bit. And internet just came up this morning. So it's been out for a couple days. And I was just unsure if I wanted to do this or not. But here we are. You know, I'm trying to stay committed to this platform and deliver to you the very best information that I can bring to the table from the decoding world. And again, much of what I bring to the table is definitely a part of many of you great decoders out there. So, without further ado, I want to give a few announcements before we jump into this. Got a jam-packed night. I have a preview that I'm going to be showing all of you that I'm working on right now. I accidentally threw it up on the screen, but it's 33 decoded. It's been a long time that I pull this one off the shelf and finally give it the attention it deserves. And it's kind of linked together with the 32. It's linked together with the Fool card and the Tarot. I didn't know what I was going to name it. I actually wasn't even decoding 33, but I was decoding Yin Yang. And I had already come out with a decode on that, but this information that I have coming out for all of you will be earth-shattering, in my opinion. It will put things, many things into perspective on how this reality works and the machinations of it and the whole 9 yards. So I'm pretty excited to get this decode coming out. I also have the decode of Bretton Woods and the gold standard and the Nixon shock and the Shemitah, the upcoming Shemitah and the Golden Jubilee 50 year through the Hebrew calendar. That's between now and next year, the 2021-2022 Gregorian, 5782, 5783 if you fancy the Hebrew. So a lot of great information that I have coming out. I have Prison Planet coming out as well. I have Halloween the movie, John Carpenter's Halloween, just to show you it's fun because this entire reality, it's all theater and script. And you know, it has disgusting parts and it has beautiful parts to it, right? That's our reality. But it is all theater. And if you can kind of get past the horrible notions of that, and just realize that this reality is scripted, your life is scripted, and in my opinion, there's absolutely really nothing that you can do about it. I mean, to me, tapping into the code and finding out and discovering what the numbers mean, and then your individual blueprint is by far and away the best thing you can do to discover the true essence of life and owning your code. And perhaps leveling up in this reality is becoming aware of the code. And I have a slide from a combination of the movie The Matrix and Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. I've decoded both movies. And I have a slide in the preview of 33 Decoded that I'm going to be showing all of you tonight. And it was with the alarm clock that Bill Murray woke up to. That was the big clue. And of course, there were massive nuggets in that movie. But nonetheless, let me get into some of these announcements. Always a big shout out to my my sponsor, which is the healersproject.com, which is, if you look at this shirt, here's my shirt. Limited edition human, and it's on sale, folks. If you want to become a limited edition human and support that notion, if you feel and resonate with that, go to thehealersproject.com. I'm actually going to throw the link up for all of you to make it really easy. I'm going to throw right in the sale button here. It's going to be right in the chat room, and there it is. And I have some new t-shirts coming out with the Healers Project. I have one called Watcher. It's got the Baywatch font, and it's going to be Watcher. Are you a watcher? I think the whole Watcher thing's really interesting. So we got the red ones coming out, the white ones coming out with the red lettering. These t-shirts are quality t-shirts. They're reasonably priced, and they're pretty quick in shipping, 10 to 14 days if you're local. Overseas is a little bit longer. So that's one way you can support this mission of Decode Your Reality. So a big shout out to Danny and Santos and Anne-Marie and the Syncretism Society, which I'm involved in. I'm helping out Santos and company. Santos is a great friend of mine. Danny's become a great friend of mine. Anne-Marie. All these people that are part of this tribe that many of you are maybe subscribed to. If you're not subscribed to the Syncretism Society on YouTube, just type in Syncretism Society and check them out. They also are on Instagram, active on that. But Danny has been hard at work on building a virtual academy with its own website, its own appeal, and where they're not going to have to rely on other platforms that may get in the way of what their message is all about. And I'm going to be a part of that, and I'm excited to be a part of that because, look, I just want to be crystal clear on one thing. We don't all agree on the same concepts, but you see, I think that is the key to life, and how I preach that you must make the truth your own. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what Santos says. You got to cherry pick and make the truth. Because folks, no one lives through your shoes. Nobody walks in your shoes. No one lives your life. No one closes your eyes at bedtime. Nobody opens them when you wake up. Nobody takes a shower for you. Nobody brushes your teeth. You do all this stuff on your own. And the esoteric is a solo journey. Yes, there are things you will resonate with and you will adopt as your own, but you must make the truth your own, folks. That is the surefire way to make peace with the world and not go into the division, which we all get sucked into from time to time. So Syncretism Society, big shout out. Please go subscribe. I mean, I'm helping them out with their podcasts, and I will be on their podcasts. I will be offering some courses through their academy, bolting on what they're already doing. And if you feel the itch to come to Mexico, just reach out. decodeyourreality@gmail.com. I'll do my best, but I mean, you got to be self-sustainable. You have to, you got to be able to spend time alone. Much of what we do, I spend the majority of time alone myself. So does Santos. So does Danny. We spend a lot of times by ourselves because it's a solo journey, and we do have the groups. For those of you that like to be around groups and the communities, those are getting formed. So it's a nice little area that we're in, Puerto Morelos. It's not in Cancun or Playa. It's not in the big cities, but it's in a small town, and man, it's amazing here, folks. I was so enamored. I had such a profound download myself with this hurricane that just passed. It was absolutely profound for me because it was only a Category 1, but yesterday when I went outside for the first time, the sun was shining, amazing weather, and I went to the beach. The beaches were absolutely besides the seaweed up on the sand, all the sand got pushed from the shore, and the waters were so super clean. It was, and they still are. I mean, it's just amazing what the hurricane is Mother's way of cleansing the earth, the air, the beaches, and getting rid of the dead wood and the dead trees and the branches. And it's just a great way to, it's just a reminder. It reminded me how Mother Nature has her way in cleansing, and it will have its way on cleansing the earth as we move into what appears to be somewhat of the new age upon us, whatever that looks like. I mean, it could go so many different ways, but nonetheless, I mean, a big shout out to Mother Earth, man. You know, my gratitude to nature, and I'm such a huge nature fan. I'm out at the beach as much as I possibly can, and I'm all into grounding and all this kind of stuff, and health is a huge priority in my life, but it's all because of the way I set up my life. And you got to do whatever you got to do to get your health, or your body, the healthiest that you possibly can. Get your mind in the most healthiest mannerism that it can. And folks, in my opinion, it's all about making the truth your own and standing in what I call neutrality, because when you're going too far to the dark or the black, the power, or going too much to the light, you can get caught up in one of those areas and then you get unbalanced. And all you have to do is look at the body. And coming from a place of nutrition, I'm certified in nutrition, and it's all about pH balance. And the blood is very specific on what pH it is. It doesn't dictate too much off the number ranges, otherwise we die. And in the body, you want to sit slightly alkaline. And I have some cards to show you that example with the tarot, synchronizing nutrition into the tarot and the cards. I'm going to show all of you that during this transmission. Folks, it's all there. There's no separation when you have the eyes to see. So anyway, there's my long intro. So big shout out to those guys. A big shout out to all of you around the world, all you great decoders. For those of you that have sent me, I've got a ton of emails. I'm on backlog, messages galore. I mean, when you put your phone number out there, everybody wants to come out and reach out to you. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. I'm using absolutes, but a lot of people do. And then you get backlogged, and it's challenging, but comes with the territory. So for those of you that have sent messages and I haven't responded, I'm not ignoring. We had a hurricane, the power went down, internet went down, just can't. So anyway, you kind of get the gist of that. So let's go through some of your comments. Richard, thank you for telling me my sync is good. I guess I'm just assuming that is the case these days. What is the numerical reason for us coming of age when we turn 18? That's a great question, but it's one that has so many different answers to it. There's not a default answer. I think just 18, I mean, Jesus equals 18, Christ equals 18 through numerology. It's a very special number. And, 18 is separated with the 1 and the 8. And 1, of course, means the root, red, leadership. And 8 is the infinity symbol, which is the trash can, I like to call it. It just pulls everything. It's a battery. The 8 runs the 5, which runs the 2. That's the middle pillar. Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus. And those signs are part of the fixed signs of astrology. So, the 8 is a very special number. Those of you that have 8 life paths, it's really all about controlling the power that's coming into your life. And you should look into your 8th house and see if there's any planets there to get more of a deeper meaning. And, folks, I've been heavily looking at the Vedic astrology charts and the nakshatras. And man, let me tell you, I mentioned this, I think, in my last broadcast. They are so accurate. Oh my Lord. And I'm going to be able to bring to the world an easy way to discover your code through the nakshatras and the Vedic system, and how to bring that into the Western. And they both have merit side by side. One is not more. See, I personally think they're both 50-50 or 100-100. They both have their glamour and glitz, and they both deliver massive truth. It's when you can combine the two together is where I feel you're going to get a massive exchange of energy with your blueprint. All right, let's get back to some of these questions. Yeah, Ethan, hurricane equals 30. In Chaldean, that's demiurge. What's up, Jose? Thanks everybody for coming out, man, on this Saturn day. Pure Truth Seeker totem pole. Folks, yeah, if you haven't bought a pack of the medicine cards, if you haven't bought a pack of these on Amazon to do your totem pole, you only do it once once for your blueprint. And I learned the totem pole from a real Cherokee shaman outside of California in LA. And what a beautiful man he is. He's born on the 96th day of the year, was struck by lightning twice in 1 week, and he's still alive. That was what he calls his initiation into becoming a real shaman. He's half Cherokee, half Irish. He's very light-skinned, but his name's Patrick. You can get readings from him if you're up in Ojai. It's amazing. But I learned from him, and it's fixed. So you look at your totem pole, and that's your chakras, and it goes by every 13 years. So it'll tell you what animal or insect or reptile you're currently living through based upon your age. And it's profound, man. It's absolutely profound. I mean, if you're a decoder, you want to get every layer you can to discover your personal blueprint. You don't want to leave any of this stuff out. All this stuff has massive importance when you synchronize them all. And that's what I do with readings. I mean, not the totem poles, I really don't, because that's something that I gave away on YouTube. But I definitely synchronize many different layers into one, and they all end up becoming one. And it's fascinating. It really, really is. So let's look at some of your comments. Will you ever try DMT? Bruce Lee's asking. I've already done DMT twice. I did it in Orange County in a town called Lake Forest with a really, really good friend of mine. And it was amazing. It was like 10 or 15 minutes of what I call a My Little Pony show. It was all neon colors, and it was just bliss. It was definitely like putting a pair of virtual glasses on. So it was pretty awesome. What's up, Carrie? Rolling Stones. Steven's asking, have I seen the TV show Westworld? I have. I've even seen the movie. I believe there's a lot of truth in that. Just like a lot of movies and remember, folks, just because it's on TV or the movies doesn't mean it is the truth. And truth is going to be a wide scope topic, because yes, you're going to have the truth from, the source. If this is the source, right? If everything comes from the source, everything is truth. We just call it deception. I don't really think there is such a thing. We just label it as that. I think there just is influence. Matter of fact, big shout out to Jordan over at Waters Above Crypto. What a hell of a guy that is. If you haven't subscribed, if you're into crypto, and he does technical analysis using astrology, numerology, many of the tools that I use, he brings them into technical analysis and the charts of cryptocurrency and watching the patterns go up and down. Amazing stuff what he's doing. He's become a great friend of mine. And we have a third podcast in the works. I think that one I mentioned is going to be, the topic will be deception versus influence. And it's going to be a lot of nuggets that'll be dropped during that podcast. I can assure you on that. I also will go out on a limb here, and big shout out to my great friend, Sharon Jeffers, the card reader, the great card reader. She's got books out, Cards of Destiny. You should go check out those books. She's got classes. Her website, it'sallinthecards.com. That's the one I'll be using throughout this transmission. Your birth card is in there. We decided to do a podcast together, and we're going to be talking about how accurate the cards are in the analyzation and manifestation of this reality. And, she predicted Trump to win, and but she predicted Biden to take the nod for the 46th presidency. But anyway, we're going to be discussing the cards and perhaps this upcoming esoteric reset and the dates perhaps in the next month, September. So big shout out to Sharon Jeffers. Let's keep going with your comments. Seven Bomar, yeah, I know who Seven is. He's got some great stuff. I think he's in Costa Rica. I reached out to him one day. This was years ago, and I didn't get a response from him. But you know, I know how it is when you're busy. So whatever. But I would love to do a podcast with that guy. He's a pretty smart dude. Storm Chaser. The V passport. To come to Mexico currently right now, no, you do not need a COVID test. I can say that. I'm not bashing it. It's just in the news. You don't need a test to come here. I don't know about how the passports are. Folks, I got to be honest. I've digressed from really sticking my nose into the news. I haven't been paying attention to it on purpose. For various reasons, but you know, my timeline in Facebook is a lot of decoding stuff. It's kind of really tailored it now, where I don't see a lot of the mainstream stuff. But I know there's big changes coming. That I do know, and I'm very aware of some of the big things that are going on around the world. And remember, folks, a lot of it is just theater. So I see a lot of people sharing stuff. I came out with a post. The title of it was Magic. You know, the words life is a simulation in numerology equals the number 57. That's a direct match to the words The Truman Show. That equals 57. Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin's most famous song, that equals 57. Life is a simulation. But I put out this post on social media, and I was very adamant about reminding people of something, and I want to share it with all of you because it got a lot of shares and likes and comments. But I see a lot of activity on social media and people sharing things that are essentially keeping these things alive. If you know how magic works by energy, the flow of energy. So the biggest topic on the world stage today, you know, the one that has the number 19 attached to it. You see, if you think about it, if you talk about it with your neighbor, you're essentially giving it magical energy, and you are part of keeping that alive. Now, I realize that this reality is scripted, and what's happening on the world stage was part of the script. But the messages that we end up getting together and collaborating together, that's part of our script. So when I say be careful what you give your energy to, because you're essentially feeding that beast that you don't like. So how much energy do you give that topic on the world stage? How much information do you share on the world stage? I mean, the things that were science fiction are now coming true, and it's just like, it's surreal, and I get that. And the things that were like, that'll never happen, they're happening. But I want to remind you how magic works, and that is, if you think about something, talk about something, you're essentially feeding it. And that's why that idea, the biggest idea on the world stage that has the number 19 attached to it, whether it's real or not, it's real now because so many people have thought about it, talked about it, preached about it, bashed it, crashed it, smashed it, embraced it. So if you're not a fan of that and you're talking about it, thinking about it, you're actually doing you're part of the whole magical experience of keeping that alive. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's how magic works, by the way. If you like magic and becoming a conscious magician. Yeah, there's a hurricane, I don't remember the name of it, going towards my hometown, Connecticut. Looks like I'm not sure if it'll make it there, but... Uriel Bunyan, have you ever considered that we chose our numbers before we came here? It's possible. I have a friend, I did a podcast with my friend TN, who's a master Akashic Records reader. Her and I differ on the way we see things. She thinks that we chose our life before we got here. I don't believe that. I think that it was chosen for us based upon the architect using mankind to experience this reality. Because, the big wrench in that, for those of you that believe in those notions, and again, I'm not here to take that away from you. I want to be very perfectly clear. But if we indeed chose our reality, that means that the pedophiles chose theirs. Can you imagine like being in a different dimension and saying, I want to go down and I want to be a pedophile, or I want to go down and just heavily abuse drugs, or I want to go down and murder people. Now, we can take all that back and then look at that Westworld situation where you get to pick whatever reality you want to live through. That's what the whole theme of Westworld is. The movie, I think it was 1973. That's what it was based on. It was based upon you being able to pick your fantasy and go live out that fantasy. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Although I think it's the architect or architects that are doing the bidding, doing the choosing. And then they use all of our avatars to experience. I had thought about this today. It was a very grandiose piece of thinking that had come across my way. And it was like, imagine that you're a video game creator. Or imagine you're somebody. How about supplements? Just humor me on this, folks. Right here, I'm going to use a very simple thing: lotion. Body lotion. Imagine you created this body lotion. What would you want this body lotion to do? What is its job? Its job is to go on people's skin. Otherwise, it just sits in the factory, in the warehouse. And then your currency just runs out because no one's buying it. So when you make a lotion, body lotion, the end result is for people to rub it on their skins and face and whatever else they're going to do with it. But primarily, they rub it on their skin. That's what you designed the body lotion for. When you create a video game, let's just say you were the creator of Madden football. Let's say you were the creator of Donkey Kong. Let's say you were the creator of Super Mario Brothers, Pac-Man. When you created that video game, what was the end result of the game? You want people to play it. Otherwise, the game doesn't succeed. And do you think that the founder of Pac-Man, can't remember his name, do you think the guy that created Pac-Man, do you think he played Pac-Man at least once in his lifetime? How about Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Madden football, Grand Theft Auto, all these games? Do you think the people that created the games have at least played their game one time? I mean, I think we can all agree that it's an absolute yes. Of course they played their own game. So using that, I mean, the person that created this lotion, do you think they tried their own lotion? I mean, it's a no-brainer, folks. So the purpose of this analogy or analogies is the architect that created this reality, why would we think that it doesn't want to experience its own game? It completely goes against the two analogies that I just used. Like Elon Musk, you think he's ever driven a Tesla before? It's his own car company. Of course he has. Folks, when you create something, you want to experience what you created or feel your creation or experience it. That's the architect. That makes so much sense. Of course. So that's why, to me, logic and common sense tells us that whatever created this reality, it wants to come down here or come in here or whatever that looks like and experience its own game. And the only way that it can do that is it needs to use avatars. I mean, I have a decode coming out on the movie Avatar. The main star, what's his name? Can't remember. Guess what his card is? It's the Jack of Diamonds. The Jack in the Box card. Not an accident. Of course. But that's my long answer to you, Mr. Bunyan. I think it's a mister. Did we choose our numbers? I don't think we chose anything. I think the script chose us. We're being used. But that's my truth. You got to make the truth your own. Any insight on waking up spontaneously at the same time? Well, you're going to make a decision on whether you believe you're awake or asleep. And what constitutes you saying I'm awake. Because then we go in gradients, you know? It's like, how awake are you? You know, like someone who says they're really awake, they'll look at somebody who just awoke and said, you're not awake. See, so it's going to always come down to what you believe. That's why it's always about make the truth your own. That's it. Jane, what other decks are you using? Well, I just ordered a new tarot deck. I was hoping it would be here today, but it's not. It's going to be here tomorrow. I think it's probably because of the hurricane. I was going to use that deck. It's a new Mystic deck. It's pretty awesome, the art. So I'll be using that on What's Your Question number 19. That's going to be a special transmission just because of that, the 19, which is the battery, which is the sun. And I mean, I got the sun right there. OB1, will cryptocurrency end up being good for humanity or will it be used for control by the elites? I think both. I mean, you know, it's just an exchange of energy. You're going from using fiat hard paper cash currency and dollars and pesos and renminbi and whatever your country is that you're using. And I mean, how many of you get in your car and open up the Rand McNally map to navigate where you're going to go to your destination? I'll bet none of you do that. You all use your phones now. Navigation on the phone. How many of you have a rotary phone on your wall? How many of you have one of those push button phones? None of you. Because they don't exist anymore because we've transitioned into cell phones. I don't understand what I see a lot of posts on people thinking, you know, crypto means dead. Folks, all you got to do is look at what the people that kind of run the operation in the world right now, what they consider you already, which is dead. Corporations, corpse. Cryptocurrency doesn't mean you're going to die. We are moving into an exchange of currency. I mean, they've already programmed mankind with using, I mean, how many of you actually sit there and use cash to pay for your merchandise when you go to, especially in the US? You have been programmed to slide your card, plastic. They've already programmed you to use digital currency. So obviously, anything that enters into this reality is going to be duality. It's going to be black and white. It's going to have a duality to it. It's going to be a good and a bad thing, a Darth Vader and a Yoda. It has to be to be down here in this reality, in physical reality. The vibrational frequency is lowered. It's slower down here. So I will encourage you, Obi-Wan, to eliminate from your vocabulary that word elite, because so many people use it all the time. And, you know, I catch myself too, so I'm not immune to it, but I consciously am aware of not using it, because anytime you say the elites, I mean, you're thinking the people that they're not elite. They're just people. If anybody's going to be elite, it's going to be you, because you're awake and you want the world to succeed. You want the world to become the best version of itself that it can be. For most of you, I think, if not all of you on this transmission, you want equality for everybody. And that's where it's at. Yes, big shout out to the full moon. Full moon will be, let me look at the current chart here. The full moon will be in, of course, in Aquarius at 12:01 a.m. wherever you are. And it will be a, what is it, a waxing gibbous, I think. I think it's a waxing gibbous. Yeah, it's a waxing gibbous right now. Then it's going to go into a full moon, and it will be in the sign of Aquarius in the 12th house of astrology, which is owned and operated by Pisces. So it's really interesting, you know, Jupiter sitting there along with Neptune in the 12th house. 12th house is currently being occupied or ruled over by Pisces and Aquarius. It's about 2/3 Pisces and 1/3 Aquarius at this current moment. That's going to keep changing, of course, but nonetheless, that's the current situation with the astrology chart. Yeah, pure truth. Why do you think that Sims was a big hit? Absolutely. I decoded Minecraft. I had Sims in there. The creator of Sims, his life was completely coded. The kids that created Minecraft, their lives are completely scripted and coded. And then you can just throw out the freaking window of being the Masons or Jesuits, any of that stupid garbage crap that people like to throw around. It's absolute ludicrousy, the people that shove that kind of garbage around on the internet. Not even going to mention any names. I hope you're past that point. Yes, those groups know about the numbers. They use the numbers consciously, maybe, yes. But no matter which way you slice it or dice it, those people, their lives are scripted, and they are being used as well. So get out of the middleman. Go to the source. This is water, by the way, in case some of you may want to know. I drink out of a glass bottle. I would encourage all of you to drink out of a glass bottle anytime that you can. So, yes, simulation. Do I use the Mayan zodiac to decode? I have not really incorporated the Mayan zodiac to decode from, just my own blueprint. I'm a yellow human, and you know, obviously I have many other layers in that, but I haven't really utilized it. I don't, to be honest and authentic, I don't know it that well to be able to drag it into my decoding. I mean, I'm currently enamored with the Vedic right now, and the accurate, man, whew, that's all I got to say. Ethan, what deck did I order? I cannot remember the name of the deck, but if you email me, I'll let you know. I got it on Amazon. I don't remember the name of the deck, but it's really cool illustrations. So, Zach Corvin from Peru, welcome out, my friend. You're 100 years behind. It's actually got some benefits being 100 years behind, because all you have to do is look 100 years ahead and you see what's going on and you'll know the ripples coming, and it gives you more time to prepare. It's one of the reasons why I like being down here in Mexico, because what happens in the US it takes some time before it starts to come and trickle down here, if it does at all. Sky Bell, nice to have you. I think the world is going to change big time. Well, there's no thinking about it. That's an absolute guarantee. I'm going through your comments. Oh, you're in Mass, Bunyan. Cool. That's where my sister lives. Whereabouts are you in Mass? Antonio Campos, where can I find the meaning of each number? Folks, listen, if you, I want to be really clear. Let me just get some. I want to just be crystal clear with all of you, okay? And to define this reality with the terminologies that are being used, okay? So a lot of people use gematria or gematria, okay? The definition of that is the coding of words into numbers. The coding of words into numbers. You see, we all decode, because then when you get the numbers, you got to know what to do with the numbers. That's numerology. So a really good website that I like is called Affinity, AFFINITY, AffinityNumerology.com. There you can, if you just go to your favorite search engine and type in whatever number you want to get the meaning on, and after the number, like 52, you type in Affinity Numerology. You can type in any number and you'll get it right there on the home, on the probably the first search or the first hit. And that website's really good. It breaks it all down. The 52 has the 5 and the 2, and they give all its energy to the 7, so it includes the number 7. It's a really good website, has a lot of great insight to it. When I first started out doing numerology, I found that website, and it was a gold mine for me. What's up, Eddie Machete? You're welcome, my brother. Steven Seguru. Yes, Terrence McKenna. He's awesome. Way ahead of his time. Yeah, that 13 is, you know, the 13 is one hell of a powerful number. I mean, it's the, I went over this, but let me go over it again, because it's important. So let me see if I can find the card here, just to give you guys some, and guys and gals, some synchronicities. And then, because, you know, when you take the number 13, you actually have the numbers 1 and 3. And I went over this last week, but I'm going to go over it again because those of you that may have missed it. So let's see if I can find these without taking too much time. There's that one. And there's that one. Okay. All right, let me just get this music going and okay. So obviously the 13 is a very powerful number, and I'm working on a concept right now that I can share with all of you. This is a little premature, and I'm not going to dive into it too much to kind of give it away, but I'm working on something really, really big. I'm probably going to launch it with the Syncretism Society. I haven't even told those guys about it yet, but I know that I'd have their blessing, and it would tap into a lot more people. But what I'm about to deliver to the world will be involving the number 13, which is, to me, is it's pi. I mean, 1.3, 3.1, it's pi. 13 ends up giving all its number to the energy to the 4, which is the heart chakra, the box, the cube, which is right there, you know. And this is what we live in. Make no mistake, that's why we have north, south, east, and west. Like it or not. Just got to deal with the tools that we've been given. So the 13, that's why you have the 13 bloodlines in those ideas. But the 13, I mean, there's the 13th card. It's the death card. Obviously, they chose the death card for a very specific reason because they knew exactly what the 13 was all about. The 13 is tied to death and regeneration. The Grim Reaper comes like the hurricane that just came through here. That was the death card coming through Mexico and cleaning out this place. It needed it. Did you see the water? I could not believe my eyes when I went down to the beach yesterday. I was like, this is a brand new beach. It looked like it was undescribable, folks. It was so beautiful, the beach right now. Besides a little bit of the seaweed and stuff. That was the 13 coming through. And, you know, I had put out a request on Facebook and I didn't get, nobody follows any kind of order. It's like I had posted something on social media about decoding the Last Supper. Very specific instructions. No one followed the instructions, so I shit canned it. Asking for people to come together with me, together all at one time, joining a group and decoding the Last Supper. I've already done it twice, but there's a reason why. But didn't happen. But I will say that, you see, the Christ in the picture of the Last Supper is the 13, of course. And, you know, he's called the King of Jews for a very specific reason. And these kings are the last card in each of the lineages. So card 13 in the cards of illumination, King Hearts. Hearts is fire. So the Christ sitting in the middle of the Last Supper, separating the spring, summer, fall, and winter. That's why he's wearing red and blue. Is the King of Hearts, 13, which is what card in the tarot? It's the death card. Then, the next suit is the club suit, which represents air. From fire, we go to air. So, then we have the King of Clubs, the mind of the cosmos. We had the King of Hearts, which is the fire, the initiator, the igniter. Bring in the fire, and then you use the air to heat it up, make it stronger. What am I going to do with that fire? Another Christ card. Then you get the third element, which is water. The fire and air hits water, and now it's the diamond suit, which rules over the firmament, over the eggshell that surrounds this earth. The waters above. Card 39, which is tied to Yttrium in 88. It's all tied together. Another Christ card. And then the last Christ card, the last card in the lineages of the 13s is the King Spades. Card 52. The 52nd element is Tellurium, which means earth. Comes from the Latin word tellus, meaning earth. It's one of the 3 immovable cards. There's 3 cards that are not moving in the spreads of the cards, if you know how to read the cards. Sharon teaches this course. This is the top. This sits in the Saturn line at the very top. Card 52. King of Swords. King of the Earth. The God in all capital letters through the Francis Bacon equals 52. It's the King Spades. So you have these 4 kings which are linked to the Christ. That's why Christ can be a good guy and he can be a badass. There's a really cool video I will encourage all of you to go check out. It's by the great band Iron Maiden. Whether or not you like them, you should really go check out the video. They just released this a couple weeks ago. The song is called Writing on the Wall. It's awesome. And it has their Jesus character, his name's Eddie, coming in there to clean the house. And the story in there is really profound. And that was all Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer. And, you know, I mean, they came out with the number of the beast, 666, and it's like, you know, folks, mankind's being used. I mean, a lot of people think they're devil worshippers. And then you go watch that video, it'll change your mind if you thought that. But those are the 13s. That's the 13. That's why the kings, 13, 26, 39, 52. Those four kings are tied to the Christ in the Last Supper, 13. And, you know, the other big thing that some people catch it, but, well, there's a female. There's two females on that table. Go find them. Go find out what positions they're at. I'm not going to let it out tonight. You can go look at it yourself and message me and let me know if you found it. Anyway, the 13 going on the separation of the 1 and the 3. Those of you that are born on the 13th, you know, I mean, or the 31st, there are the two cards. See, it's the magician, card number 1, who says, hey, Empress, card number 3, let me give you my magic. I'm going to give you all the tools, because this guy's got all the tools on the table. He's got infinity over his head, and he says, hey, Empress, let me give you all my magic. You do whatever you want to do with it. What do you think she's going to do with it? She's going to create. She gives birth to things. This is the third card. Guess what house this represents in astrology? The twins. The twins. Gemini, Castor and Pollux. Jack and Jill. Jesus and Thomas. This could be, essentially this can be Mary, in a sense. So you have the 13. That's why 13 means death, but it means death and regeneration. It's pretty amazing, folks. And I know that the people that created these cards, I don't take anything away from these artists and these authors, but did they really go through this stuff with a fine-tooth comb? You know, because I think there's meanings after meanings. You know, I come out with a decode. I don't even see some of the stuff I come out with. And some of you great decoders end up saying, hey, you know, this is what I see. I'm like, oh my God, I never saw that. But yet you saw it. It's because there's just so much information packed in all this kind of stuff. It's pretty awesome. $13 is a baker's dozen. What is? Let's see what that is. Hold on. Oh, let me just check this out. It's a 43, which is the spider web. Okay. What do I think? What are my thoughts on 13 being linked to Knights Templar? It's very possible. It's possible that it's linked to that. I'm sure you could find something. If you're asking, Metatron, then there must be something that you found and you're intrigued by it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking. So if you found something where they're tied to the 13, well, then there must be some kind of link, and then you got to keep digging. What shape is the Earth is 59. Well, see, I think, you know, when you really get into advanced layers of decoding, folks, as you have been following my own personal decodes, you'll see that I do statements, and I'll do a lot of words tied together. But it's the elimination of these filler words that give us a deeper meaning. You know, if you're decoding, one of the most used words is the wall, the microphone, the channel. So that word the brings so much to the table. And it equals the number 14. So what I believe is that anytime you say the this and the that, you're giving the announcement that you're attaching the 14 to that word. And we know that time, God, and Satan are all 14. 14 is pi, 3.14, which is what we're all, pi is time. We're all stuck in time. That's the contract that we have. The contract we have is with time. Contract with God is 59. Contract with time is 59. Because time and God are the same word. Contract with Satan is 59. And that's why, that's a big reason why you can't just use numerology and think you got it figured out. And I see it all the time, especially on some of the heavy hitter channels. I'm not going to mention anybody's names. I think they got it figured out. Not in my world, they don't. But that's as much as I'm going to go and give any information on that. Let me keep looking at your comments. Follow the white rabbit. I'm a creator. Absolutely. Oh, there's something big to that rabbit, boy. Folks, I got some stuff coming out. Woo! I was going to include it in my preview tonight. The Chinese zodiac is amazing. Oh, man. Wait till I come out with this stuff, man. Whew. Just recycling. Follow the white rabbit, recycle you right back in. Which I don't even know if we even have a choice. But yeah, remember, folks, 13 in the string of pi, 79 is found at the 13th decimal digit. It's tied to gold. That's why death and regeneration. Folks, anytime there's death, it's gold currency being released. Anytime. Which feeds the battery. Whatever created this reality is getting the energy of when it's being released onto the world stage. I had given an indication of what I believe to how it works. And I had said this about musical artists and actors and actresses and what I've kind of figured out is that when you're an artist and you get a big name for yourself and you go out on tour, imagine you're an artist and you go out on tour and you're about to play. You're a solo artist. And the concert is completely sold out. You're playing at an arena. And you found out there's 50,000 people waiting for you to come out on stage. Can you imagine the feeling that you'd get from all that energy coming at you? Whew. Where does that energy go? You got 50,000 eyeballs, actually 100,000 eyeballs staring at you when you come out on that stage, giving you worship. Where does that energy go? Well, I believe it gets stored up in the body, in the blood primarily. And then when it's time to pay up, some people like to call them rituals or sacrifices, whatever. But when it's time to pay up, and that person gets taken out or they have a freak accident or however they go out, however they get taken out, maybe they just die, that something gets that energy. And if you're an artist and you've been out on stage through a concert, through a tour for a year, and you have all these people giving you all this energy, all that energy in your blood, you got a lot of currency in your body, a lot of value. in the sense of currency. Gold, energetic currency. Something's going to get that currency. And that's what I believe. I think the architect gets that currency. It's time to pay up. It wants it back. And there's going to be a lot of factors that will be involved with that scenario. But that's what I've come to the real. That's my truth, by the way. I'm not saying it's true for you, but that's what I feel is the way it works. Because I know it's about currency. I have enough support to know that our reality is based on currency. That's an absolute in my truth, in my life. But yeah, M is the 13th letter. It's also tied to the 13th letter in the Hebrew, which is mem. And mem comes from the word, that's where memory comes from. Death of the memory. When you come down here and incarnate, don't remember who you are, then you get into, if you want to decode some movies, go watch the Bourne Supremacy and Jason Bourne. Awesome stuff. I have so many notes on those movies. I just haven't come out with a decode. I have so many decodes, folks. As you know, that's all I really do. It's all I do. I love it though. I'm not complaining. I'm totally in heaven when I from the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep. Man, I'm totally just in complete gratitude in my life. Is there a chance to stop regeneration, reincarnation? No idea. Couldn't answer that. But I will say this, since you brought that question up, let me drop a truth bomb. This is, again, these are my truths. I was studying a lot of Greek mythology. I have been for quite some time now. And then I started decoding just the other day the Anunnaki. And I put out, if you saw in the community here, I have Enki and Enlil decoded coming out. That story. And, Enki and Enlil equals the number 30, which is a direct match to the word demiurge. It's a direct match to the word Jehovah. It's a direct match to the word Nazareth. It's a direct match to the word Santa Claus. Santa Claus is an interesting guy because he comes from above and drops down into duality. Comes in your living room, but that would be the duality. That would be coming down here in Wonderland. Your living room would be Wonderland. That whole story. But nonetheless, the whole Enki and Enlil are tied to their father, which is Anu or An, Father Sky. And that in the Greek is Uranus. For those of you that are decoders, maybe you want to take a little bit of notes on what I'm about to say. Maybe you can go a little deeper with this. I'm working on it, but I'm going to throw some nuggets out. And that is Uranus. The word Uranus, and it has that letter U. And that letter U, which is the 21st letter, which is the world card. Think about that. There's a connection there. It's tied to Father Sky, which is the grandfather of Jupiter, the father of Saturn, Father Time. And that's tied to the element uranium, which is the 92nd element on the periodic table. Uranium has many atomic weights. The average is 238. These numbers that I'm throwing out have so much significance to how the machinations of this reality work. Uranium. And when you look at uranium, you see uranium ends up becoming the father, if you will, of radium. Radium being 88, radium being Ra. So you have uranium being in the lineages of radium in alchemy. And it would be uranium first and radium second. Radium is 88. 226, 224, 225. Got to know what you're looking for. Alchemy is such a huge key to all this. And those decoders that are not using it, I would suggest you stay far away from them, because they're just putting out stuff that has a weak foundation. If you're not using alchemy, if you're not using the elements, to me, your foundations are going to be weak, because alchemy is one of those keys that opens up a door that you wouldn't have. And it's a bridge. And I have now proven it, supported it over and over and over and over and over and over, that it's direct. I mean, we are made up a lot of these elements. So they're very important to figuring out how this reality works. For sure. So check into uranium, Uranus, folks, because Uranus, it's got the, that's why horseshoes are lucky. And I didn't know the sync, but I look at everything in my life, and I encourage all of you to do the same thing. I'm always telling you, decoding your addresses, your phone numbers, breaking down the building you live in, the address of that, latitude, longitude, the wallpaper on your wall, if there are any symbols, everything in your life is coded. So, in my last spot here in Mexico, when I was living in San Miguel in the central part, I had a lot of symbols that showed up. And I know for certain that that building was built in the 1930s or 40s, and yet when it was built for me to come there. And I wasn't even born yet. And I know that to be a fact. But nonetheless, the symbols that were there supported what I'm trying to say. And over my door to walk in and out was a horseshoe. And that's why, you're not supposed to have them flipped upside down. They're right side up, making the U-shaped. And, even, what's the football team in the NFL that has the horseshoe? It's the Colts. And where do they play? Indianapolis. Starts with the word Indianapolis. Indium. Indium is 21. 21 is the U. And I bet that the people that made that sports team had no idea of what I'm telling you. I'm not trying to take any credit or discredit anybody. But I look at my own personal life, and I look back at all the things, and I'm like, I wasn't even aware. I was in the game too much. But there's so many syncs with just what I just said right there, with the horseshoe and being tied to uranium and the letter U, which is the 21st letter, and the Indianapolis Colts with that, which starts with the letter I and going inward, and indium being 21 and the 21st letter. Folks, I could just go on and on and on and just do it on the fly like this. Once you have all the tools and you... Jane Doe. Is there a daily chart calendar to explain Rahu and Ketu more than I may? Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you asked. I freaking love Rahu and Ketu. And it's pretty broad stroke because you have your two charts in the Vedic, and then you have the Nakshakras, and you have your regular chart, and the Rahu is going to be in different placements. And then you can take the Rahu and you can dump it into the Western chart and find out where it's there and cross-reference it. It goes... That's why synchronizing everything, syncretism. Syncretism in numerology equals the number 31. 31 is pi, 3.1. We're syncretizing things down here inside the circle. The circle is the sine and cosine waves. Make no mistake about it. Baltimore Colts, exactly. But I love Rahu. How do you break down it? Kaio Azur. How do you break down an address? Well, there's several ways you can do that. I would highly suggest that you take the address and type it into your favorite search engine, and it's going to spit out the address, but it's going to abbreviate those letters. Like if you are talking about a road, it'll probably do RD. Avenue will be AVE. Street will be ST. In my experience, you can do it both ways. You can decode it both ways, but I primarily, when I decode streets and roads, I do the full address. I write out everything, including the city and state. There's no abbreviations on any of it. And then you're going to get your final outcome. And you want to know the latitude, longitude of that address. And you can Google that as well or whatever. I'm telling you, folks, the latitude, longitude, big freaking deals in this reality. Time to dig out the periodic table notes from school. Well, if you just start decoding with them, you won't even need really any notes. The Royal Society of Chemistry, I'm going to put it right in the chat box. Let me see if I can get it right. There's the website I use. There you go. Just start looking at the folks. The pictures are in there on the Royal Society of Chemistry. They're all there. All the symbols, and the logos, and the icons, they're all there. Staring you in the face. They've always been there since they created this site. And there's so many nuggets in that damn website, man. Woo! The letter B is 2. If you're using the English A through Z cipher, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, yes. But if you're using the Chaldean, it's going to be a little bit different, the numbers. There'll be some matches, but the Chaldean to me is the top dog cipher. I've been saying this. That's my opinion. But that cipher goes off of phonetics. And if anybody is a real numerologist, like that's a heavy hitter. I'm not poo-pooing on the ones that use the Pythagorean, but those real deal numerologists that I have followed, that the books that I have read, they all use Chaldean. They know the power in that cipher and the reasons why we use it. And if you do the numerology of your name in Chaldean and then you go read up on that number and then you do it to the Pythagorean, I guarantee you the Chaldean will be more resonating with you. I'm very sure of that. Colts used to be in, what's up, Mel? Colts used to be in Baltimore. They sure did, but they're not in Baltimore anymore. Now they're in Indianapolis. You could decode the Baltimore Colts as well. Go decode the latitude, longitude of Baltimore. You folks, you can find it anywhere. The code's there. It's all there. You just got to dig. The missing elevator floor 13. Yeah, some people don't use the 13th floor. Do I think we're going into a global food shortage? I sure hope not. Because I mean, I mean, I'm not prepared. I can honestly tell, authentically say that. I mean, how do you know you're prepared when you have 6 months worth of food? I mean, I move around a lot, so I don't know. I'm not sure. Not sure how this game's going to play out. You know, I have a friend who thinks that we're going to go into the golden age, and with that would be the, you know, the transmutation of all of us going into the 5D reality and escaping this reality of the nightmare that they've been putting out on the world stage. You know, I mean, again, you just look at the stuff that's going on, and it's just, it blows my mind, because it's like you talk about it. Yeah, it's great for coffee and tea. And now it's finally here, and just mind blown. When I really sit back and it's real, but it's so unreal, like that it's happening. It's just craziness. You just got to do the best you can in the certain circumstances. But, you know, like growing our own food and bartering, maybe. Bartering to me doesn't work because people are too programmed with buying things and knowing the value of what what money and currency is, exchange. It would be very challenging for bartering, I personally think. I mean, I can honestly and authentically just come right on here and say that I would not want to go back to the Stone Age myself. I would not want to have to go and, you know, rely completely on growing my own food. It would be, I mean, I would do it. I wouldn't have a problem doing it. But I like the convenience of keeping things moving and being able to create at this level. And if we were to take away all the crazies that are just doing their jobs, if you take all that craziness out of the loop, we'd be fine. And maybe that's what needs to happen. I just don't know. But I don't give it energy, folks. I mean, I'll just be clear again. You know, my energy is going to feed something if I give it energy. And enough collected energy on that one topic keeps that topic and adds energy to it. I don't want to be a part of that. It's a very big catch-22. Because you want to talk about it to, you know, be prepared in some circumstances. You want to talk about it to, you know, prepare other people. But at the same time, it's to our own demise. It's like a big contradiction. So for me, I just choose to like live in this bubble, kind of, so to speak. And I just trust the code. That's me, though. You know, that's just totally how I roll. I mean, yeah, having years worth of water and stuff, that's just, I mean, come on, folks. You know? Infinite Gabe, am I still an advocate for crypto? Absolutely, of course I am. If you're asking me that question, absolutely. I understand, or I understand how some people are totally against it. And they're gonna, and those that are against it are probably broke. And I don't mean that as an insult, but they probably don't have any money. They're probably really having tough times. And they probably have been that way for a while. And I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just being realistic here. And these are from my own observations. But, you know, again, the way technology is rolling out, I just can't see hard cash being around much longer. And if we have a reset and the world just goes into this plunge, and then Jesus comes and rides on his white horse and takes out the enemy and changes everything, if that's the way the code is, then great. I'm totally cool for that. See, I live in neutrality. Obviously, I have to wield my black and white magic because I have to survive just like all of you do. But I'm not attached to any one outcome. That's what Buddha says is the cause of suffering, is when you're attached to an outcome. It's very challenging not to be attached to an outcome. But like, there's a lot of people that are heavily invested in believing that there's going to be some alien life form, some galactic federation that's going to come here and take us all away. There are people that believe that there is going to be a Jesus Christ figure that's going to come and be the Grim Reaper and bring the sword. There are people that believe they're going to be raptured off this earth. And for me, I'm at a point now where you believe what you want to believe. You actually may be creating your own reality. So whatever you believe, that's what's going to happen. That may be possible. Let's just say that is the reality. Let's just say you're creating your own fractal. Whatever you paint in your mind, that's exactly what you're going to get. Well, then it changes the game completely. Because then you got to be really careful what you wish for. But if the game is dominant by a collection of energy and it's forcing the world to go in a certain direction, if the world is actually controlled by the Vatican and CERN, like I had mentioned this in my last, I went pretty deep on the theory that, CERN could be digging into the quantum. And they may be using the energy of the popular vote on the world stage, which is the Vatican. The Vatican harnesses a lot of energy. What are they doing with that energy? What if they're giving it to CERN and CERN's digging into the quantum and they're actually creating our reality before us, and they've been doing it, which means the dominant energy on the world stage would be through the most popular vote on the world stage. And what's the most popular vote on the world stage? Well, it's Christianity. Because that idea, that archetype, according to the statistics that I've researched on, they own a 40% stake. That's a lot of energy to take and do something with. So if that's the dominant energy on the world stage and they're writing the script based on what I think is the architect anyway, just writing the script, well, then no matter what you say and what you believe, it's not going to make a difference because it's going to go that way anyway. And that could lead to a lot of fear because people, that's what leads to a lot of fear on the world stage. See, all of us were born into what appears to be the Piscean age, which was ruled over by religion. And religion is 27, just like currency and numerology. It's not an accident. I mean, the word religion, means to do it again. And legion is close to legion. People don't pay attention to this stuff. It's nice to break it down with numerology, but the vibrational frequencies of these words is also playing its part out through the magical spells that we all speak. And religion has re. Anytime you see the reset, it's got re. Re. And the letter R is 18. And the letter E is the 5. And, if you really reduce it down, it's the 95. And anytime you see 95, that's one half of the I am. Because the 95th element, and this is how valuable the alchemical elements come into play. The I am that I am. The am is Americium, the 95th element. And I've supported this to prove this, that this is the way this is. Iodine and Americium. 53 and 95. Which is just 85. 85 is 13, and there you go right back to that 13 again, which is the 4, which goes right back to the cube. Square inside the circle, or the circle inside the square, which if you watch my Architect of the Universe, it was all in there. But that word reset, repeat, religion, doing it over again. That's why I pick and choose, but I don't dive completely in. I love a little bit of this, love a little bit of that, but I don't dive completely and immerse myself into one. To me, it's too risky. All right, let's go back to some of your questions. Regardless of whether or not these elite are, I'm not even going to use that stinking word anymore. These people. Free will. Well, how much free will do we have? That is completely going to come down to an opinion. There's no way to prove it. There's no measure markers. There's no percentage. There's no, energy source that we can, there's none of that. It's all an opinion. I mean, I could clearly say you have absolutely no free will at all. And I could never prove that. But then I would say, okay, what do you believe? Well, I believe I have 100% free will. Prove it. And you can't. You'll do things to try to prove it, but I could easily debunk that. So it's a stalemate. I had this conversation with somebody who I just did a reading for, talking about this, and I had said that, can you imagine if everybody could just do whatever they want whenever they want? What would our world look like? Huh. Imagine that. I just can't believe in 100. I can't believe in that. The free will, maybe you get to choose your dinner or shoes you want to buy, or you want to go on vacation for a weekend. I could see that, but I've got too much decoding to support that mankind's being used. You're being used. I'm being used. To what level, I don't know, but just the fact to know that you're a puppet on strings, and if you get out of line, something's going to be forced to push you back in. That's enough to, you just let go. And some people just can't tolerate those notions. So you just, that's why I encourage, just decode yourself. And you know what I find? Most people, too lazy. They'd rather be out on the lake or watch television, be enamored by that. No, they have no interest. The majority of people on the world stage have no interest in decoding their reality or themselves or their children. They don't care. No interest. And if everybody did, then, the world would obviously be a much different place. But that's not the way the game's set up. The game of life, whether we like it or not, is, number one, it's survival of the fittest. That's not even an opinion, that's a fact. And it's the game of chess. And the game of chess has 32 pieces on the board. 32 pieces for a reason. Because 32 is one step below 33. 32 is duality. Anytime you see 32, it means duality. And the majority of the pieces on the board in the game of chess are pawns. And as real as I can get with all of you, without debilitating anything, without pushing anybody into a corner, without, being an asshole, is the majority of people on the world stage, if I had to label it as being asleep or awake, they're more Mr. Smiths. They're more asleep. If I had to label it that way, just being without being judging, just being like, oh, there's a cat. I'm calling it a cat. Oh, it's a cell phone. That's about how neutral I'm going to get with what I'm saying, is that the majority of people on the world stage are like, oh, that's a cell phone. They're asleep. They're pawns. But their energy. Everybody on this playing field, on the motherboard called Mother Earth, their frequency, their energy, and they're being used to harness their energy. Asleep or awake, it does not matter. The energy is being harnessed by something, which I showed in my last decode called The Game of Life. The Greeks, I mean, this is nothing new. They coined it. It's called ambrosia, which is 82, which is tied to the 52, which is tied to Prison Planet. I could go on and on and on and on. Just go watch the decode. I mean, it speaks for itself. That's why I spend hours and hours and hours on this stuff, just to support it, where it's undeniable. And then, why am I doing it? Well, it's part of my code, but just to study your code, to know who you are. What are you doing here? Why are you here? What are you doing here? That's where the truth. That's what matters. It's why you're here. It's not so much of what you do. I mean, that plays a big role if you're, somebody who is a healer or a humanitarian or whatever, but it's, what are you doing here? Why do you wake up every day? Why do you get up out of bed and start your day? What do you do it for? If you're in here in this transmission, I would almost be certain that you don't get up and go through your day for you primarily. You want to help the world. You want to service the world. You're doing it for you, but in the same sense, you're raising your frequency. Part of your job here, your responsibility, is to get to a higher frequency. That's our responsibility. And when your frequency goes up to a really high level, guess what happens? Everybody on that high level frequency starts to match you. And now you have a new tribe. It's easy to stay down here in Wonderland. And I use that very loosely because we're all here in Wonderland. As long as your feet are on the ground, you're in Wonderland. Then you get into frequency, levels and layers of it, consciousness. Let's get into some of these questions. Lena Labonte. Yeah, exactly. This life is freaking amazing with all the push. This life is amazing. No matter how shitty it can be absolutely beautiful. It is beautiful. It's what you pay attention to. And as I continue to say, the architect's a damn comedian. It's a jokester. It doesn't perceive our existence as how we perceive it. I mean, folks, let's go tit for tat here. Like, I've said it many times, I'm going to say it again. You are a stone cold killer. That's right. You're a murderer. Every time you go outside, you're killing things. You're stepping on things you can't see. Maybe stepping on things you can see. You're constantly, we're constantly killing things. Why is our lives more valuable than the things that we step on? How's that fair? Where's the justification in that? Because we're giants compared to the things we step on?